So hopefully everything goes all right. All right, so it says we are now live. So I couldn't get my usual microphone working today. For some reason, I think it's just not working anymore. I can't seem to get it to work. So if I'm too loud or for some reason I get like shrilly, let me know. Maybe I can set my volume down. Everybody who's watching, if you have any audio issues, please let us know in the chat and we will take care of it. So thank you for joining us. I'm Robert Usardi, the creator of Blockchain Kingdoms. We have some cool things like Metasource cards, crypto castles. I am a Wax developer, so we're making games for Wax. We have with us other Wax developers. Going to let them all introduce themselves. How about we start with Mitch, because your face is the closest to mine.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Mitch. I'm the lead designer and head of product on Million on Mars Land Rush. We're a new early access game on the Wax blockchain. Currently able to get in if you have a founder's token or you get an invite from a founder. But we're a game built largely around land development and a resource-driven economy that is completely powered by players that are participating within the game. And everything inside of our game is powered by NFTs.
Nice. Sammy, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Sammy Snake. I'm behind Nova Rally. The first game to actually rip the NFTs right from your hands with the Death Rally racing simulation on Wax blockchain. But I'm going to tempt you into risking them all and getting them all burned. So I'm looking forward to that, hopefully starting next week.
Yeah, I have all of my common NFTs, all my common drivers lined up for the altar to be sacrificed in the Death Rally. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I like all crazy ideas. Crazy ideas are the best.
I agree.
Yeah, what makes sense to me, because in your game, there's really an incentive to throw those common cards into the burner in order to get the driving manuals. Like, I think it's a really smart system. I can't wait to see, what happens when it's in play and, what the players do with it. It'll be really intriguing.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be like World War I with the trenches, where there's like Germans like with big turrets gunning people down, and then there's all the NFTs getting burned. That's what it's going to be like.
You'll need to make some kind of video with like some big epic music playing as all these cars are just getting burned. That sort of like build up, I think, would be really cool.
Right now, you have to give me ideas.
I'll celebrate anytime someone's sketch or high value drivers die. That'll be fun.
Oh man, yeah, I saw some people were burning some of their sketches in Nova Rally in order to upgrade them to the next league, and I thought that was kind of crazy because you can create new NFTs in Nova Rally except for the sketches. You can't do that anymore, and some of them were just burning them to upgrade them, I guess, to get more fuel or just to do it. They must have had their reasons, but I thought it was insane.
Just impatient. It's just like anything. If you stare at something long enough in a game, you just think, "Oh, I just want to get to the next level," and that's why people buy, the in-game purchases. I'll just buy some gold or magic mushrooms or whatever they sell in the games to get me to the next level because you've just been stuck there. Like, eventually, these games, they wear you down, and I've worn down people already. They can't wait for their driver's manuals. Evil Sammy delayed it all again. So they burned their sketches in retaliation.
So what happens next season then? Are you gonna? How many more? You're gonna print new packs? Are you gonna expand how many more people can get in for the next season?
I mean, there'll be like 21 brand new characters that we'll probably introduce, and then no one will be able to get the old characters anymore. So if those characters are the ones that are doing well, then people will be missing out.
Will we still be able to get the shards for the old characters, or
no?
That also? Oh, really? So at some
they're all
point,
just like
they'll be discontinued.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that does make sense to me. Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't know that was going to happen. I really didn't preface this live stream with anything, so I'm going to go ahead and preface it with, I was talking to Mitch last week, and we had a great time talking, and I felt like the three of us had some similar values, and kind of going in the same direction with the NFT gaming. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get the three of us together and kind of have like a mastermind group where the three of us, wax game developers, come together, talk about what interests us, topics, things we're working on. Maybe we can provide value to each other and also provide value to anybody else there who's watching, who's interested in what we're doing, who's interested maybe getting involved with this space. I thought this would just be a great way to provide value for all of us as well as everybody else out there.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's really great to be able to connect with other members of this community. I think the wax space is so massive, and you talk to almost anyone, you look at anyone's wallet, no one plays one game at all. They play everything, right? Everyone's trying everything. Everyone that's a creator or a consumer is trying everything, because we're trying to figure out what things are working in their games, what things could work in my game, what things are really popular in the market, and everyone's trying to play things and also invest and profit all at the same time. It's completely wild, like Cowboy Wild West all over again.
It is. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And I think, Sammy, you were here pretty early-ish. I mean, I think we're still early in everything, but, you have one of the highest ranking games on Atomic Hub right now, where, wax.atomichub.io, where a lot of people go and, trade their NFTs. And it's a great marketplace. I like the interface. And you guys have been, I think, in the top 10 for a while now. At one point, you were number 1 in the market volume on Atomic Hub. And I found you guys on the drop. Literally, it was like a day before the drop, I found out about Nova Rally. And I was just kind of looking at it, and I was like, you know what? Like, this sounds cool. Like, I get it. It seems really simple, and it was really easy to digest. There's some games out there that are really difficult to digest, but yours is really easy to understand and jump into and kind of look at what strategy I would choose in the game. And I think I told you a while ago, I was looking at I got a lot of development to pay for. I might have to start selling off some of these, Nova Rally NFTs in order to start managing my development team and what I have to pay them for. But you know what? I've actually held on to, if anything, I've actually collected more Nova Rally since then. And luckily, some things like all the nodes that I own took off. So I was able to kind of manage things as I pay my teams. But I was like, Nova Rally was the one thing I really held on to and just accumulated more of over time. And it's because I'm looking forward to the death racing. You're talking about the racing tracks now and stuff like that. So I'm curious, what's it like to be one of the first people on the Wax platform? Because I think years from now, everyone's going to remember Sammy Snake and Nova Rally, and you were one of the first ones here in NFT gaming.
I mean, I just owe it to my community. Since the start, since I was doing stuff on Alien Wars, for whatever reason, people seem to enjoy either tuning into my stream or interacting in my community. And I think it's all just about becoming reliable. People like what we're doing with Nova Rally because it's reliable. They get the fact that it's they can see features being released over a long period of time and a solid idea and then getting built upon. So it's a combination of obviously I'm the face of it. I seem to be relatively well liked. That obviously makes a big difference. People can trust me, and a solid, easily understandable idea. It's not rocket science, really. But at the same time, you look at it and you look at, I look at my project and think, okay, but it's a solid release, but we're not, knocking down anyone's door. We're not broken any records or anything like that. And that's kind of what I want to do. So it's about once you get something out there, the hard part begins. And okay, well, what could we be doing better? And there's lots of stuff we could be doing better. But for me, I'm just happy that I have a community that cares enough to give feedback every day and interact with with me on the stream. If I started the streams and there was suddenly only 2 people there, I'd be a little bit concerned. But you've got a lot of people interacting with us daily and submitting good ideas, and that's what kind of spurs you on. I think in the space that's relatively new, you want to put your money in projects that you believe that are going to be around for a couple of years. And I think with Nova Rally, people get that sense that it is. With me, even you know me on my streams, I put money into anything. Literally, Coramanti was telling me about the Million on Mars, the Founders Pack, and I'm already planning it out. Right, I barely heard anything about it. I was like, right, so how much do these Founders tokens cost? I was like, I could get behind some of those. Like,
they're built with some fat value on purpose, right? Like I'm 100% targeting people that understand the value prop, they understand that we're building something for a long time and can see that we're building a game from the very beginning.
So I think that's that like you're gonna get your hype people, you're gonna get your flippers, but if you can build an established user base, then you're kind of sorted for development, because you can just get on with things and take their feedback and improve. If you just got short-term buyers that are only there to make money, it'll go away. You saw that with Nova Rally. It went up 18 times. It comes back down. People are annoyed. But the people that have remained, like, I don't have any problems with these people. They give good feedback. And that's what you need to do. You need to build up a solid community. And that's the thing. We've got 1,000 people that play every day. That's not as many as other projects, but we've got a base, and no matter what seems to happen at the moment, it never drops below 1,000 players per day, and that's positive, and that's a starting point. So that's what it's about. It's like getting your minimal viable product out, which is what Nova Rally is at the moment, and then layering on top of that. But like I've had it on easy mode, to be honest, just because for whatever reason, my stream is quite popular, and people find me. I don't know why. Like, look at this background. Look at my hair. Like,
that's okay.
I'm really not like production value is not here. Like I would look at it. I'm looking at bloody Mitch's camera and thinking, man, how do I get a camera like that? Look at the colors in the background. Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, my hair's a mess. Like,
right. But you have consistency, reliability, and and you're genuine, right? Like you've set out to do things. You've been honest if you've ever made a mistake. You try to be like
a few so far.
Sure. Like we all make mistakes, man. We all shit. Like even myself, I've made mistakes in some of the things. Like we're only human, right? But I think the fact that you show up, you deliver, and you are as genuine as you can be is a really important thing, because a lot of other projects are not super transparent about exactly who they are, or they are presenting as being very busy behind the scenes, and they basically let their community manager speak for themselves, and you rarely get to actually interface and talk with the developers that are the ones that are behind the design, that are behind these things. And it's hard to understand, like, who are these people? Who are the actual designers responsible for these things? Do they understand game economics and how to like balance things, and how are they expected to like deliver on these things?
Yeah. The only thing is on the flip side, it's actually quite difficult putting your face out there and like on stream. Like I'm getting used to the fact of that. Like I really don't take criticism very well. Like when people say stuff about Nova Rally, it hurts my soul. It literally does.
Yeah.
And like my typical reaction at the moment is, for like half an hour, I'm like really angry and I'm not taking in the criticism. I think that they're attacking me. And then I calm down in half an hour, and then I study what they said, and I go, that's good feedback, and I go away and do it. I would like to get to a position where it doesn't hurt my soul. I get into arguments with people still. I'm just so passionate about it, and that's the risk. I feel like some other projects have tried to do the out in front thing and be transparent in things, but then the real test is when people are sending loads of crap your way.
Yeah.
And you just honestly want to tell them to all get to France. Like, I understand. Previously, I was like, why isn't everyone so transparent and always communicating with the community? It's not that hard. It doesn't take much effort. No, it takes an enormous amount of mental effort to do it.
And you have to develop a huge thick skin about these things. Like you have to be willing to people to grill you as a potential player, potential investor, like potential whatever their motivations and goals are. You have to be ready to take their feedback and criticism, and they want your game to be a certain way that fits their needs as well. And you need to be able to stick to your fundamentals, to be confident in what your design is and what you're trying to build, and say, that may not align with what you're looking for. I'm sorry, but like, this is the game that we're building, and this is what we stand by. It's, this is why we write white papers. This is why there we go. That's my game.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, that's your game.
Yeah, there we go.
I am the newbie to the software.
It's okay. It all works out. Yeah, that's the one I'm working on. Hey, we're doing Land Rush. Yeah. And I think sticking to your fundamentals, and like we publish white papers for a specific reason, which is to really give a clear, transparent look as to what we're setting out to build, and to allow our players and our investors, or whatever they technically are in these projects, to have a real faith and confidence in what we're really setting out to build.
Yeah, but the main difference though is there's such an amount of pressure on when you're creating a play to earn game. If you make a mistake in a regular game, so what? It's crap for a while.
Yep.
You patch it out. If you make a mistake on a play to earn game, your whole economy is screwed. It's just gone down the pan. In 2 weeks, you can kill the economy of your game if you don't plan it out, think about it, forecast it, how it's going to look. That is terrifying.
Yeah. It's an insane amount of pressure. I completely agree. That's why we started with a virtual economy for our game. We're not having any tokens or things that can be made right now. We're making sure the balance works well. We're making sure everyone's happy with things, that the right amount of play sessions each day feels good. And when things are right, then we'll go out slowly. We'll do an airdrop of tokens, and then we'll turn on the faucet and let people actually, really do the play to earn thing. And I think like a lot of projects, certainly, they want to give people value right out of the gate, and it's easy to make something that just immediately starts printing things or minting value or issuing things or offering staking. And I mean, those things are really compelling and exciting. And the biggest challenge is making sure that you have enough of a sink for all of that stuff, that people have a way to like actually spend it effectively, so that the balance of supply and demand actually start to reach an equilibrium point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about your game, Mitch, because you guys are really new in the space. And for anybody who's new to you and Land Rush, Million on Mars Land Rush, I was really surprised. It went, I bought like 2 founders tokens, winning the game, and like you guys actually have a lot of front end development done. Like you can go in, you can play the game. It sounds like you guys are in the stages of now kind of hooking up the things in the back end, so that the blockchain stuff, the Wax blockchain stuff, interacts with the game, and then you can launch it. I think you said within a month or so. That's a plan.
Yeah, we're looking at about an early November launch date for the full set of the game. There's 2 big systems that we're trying to finish before we go live. The first one being our market order system, which allows players to actually buy and sell items inside of the game for Dusk, in creating a buy and a sell purchase order in a market book fashion. If you've played Lost Relics and the way that their market works in the Emporium, it should be very familiar to that.
Okay.
Then the other system is a player work system, where instead of actually spending your own stamina on the actions that you're doing on your land, you're able to hire other players and post work orders, and you compete against all the other landowners in the game for the work that's actually going to be done by the other players. So if you don't own land in the game, but you have an access pass, you can go inside, you can spend your stamina, you can earn Dusk, and you'll actually be able to play and earn even if you don't own land. You'll be able to save up and actually work your way to owning a piece of land of your own as well.
Yeah, I love that so much, and I just can't stress enough to people like how much work you guys have actually done before you guys even decided to sell anything. Like, even us, like our staking's coming next month because we decided that we wanted to build everything from the ground up, build our smart contracts on our own everything, so that we could then stack any features that we wanted and have our team be responsible for it. So we have like complete certainty about that. And, it's taken us time to develop, and it's happening, but, we're still selling. We have a drop like coming next week for the Metasource cards. And that's just happens to be the position that we're in and the movement we're going in. But it really astounds me that you guys have done so much work before you've been selling the founders token. You just showed up and you're like, hey, so here's this founders token we're selling. Oh yeah, by the way, the game is already mostly done.
Well, yeah.
And I was just like, what? Like, this is crazy. It's I can't stress enough. If you guys are in the streets, what's the website? It's
it's milliononmars.io. Yeah, that's the Wax-based game. We also have a Steam game that you can play as well. It's in early access. And that game we've been building and working on for the last year. It's not play to earn. It does not currently use NFTs, but it is on the same virtual Mars. You will be playing in the same planet as the Land Rush players, just in a different area. And over time, we're going to build a real metaverse experience that connects all of these different attractions and ways to play inside of our version of Mars.
And the other thing that you were saying before is I loved about the way that you're making it so that people, the way I've always looked at it is that, you have people, you have different styles of resources, right? You have people who have resources in money, and then you have people who have resources in time. And if you can kind of bridge that gap, for me, that is where the real money is. We first created our company, Blockchain Kingdoms, now hosts like the Metasource cards and crypto castles. When we first created this, I didn't have the idea for the Metasource card to be about. What I had was an idea for bridging that gap between money and time. And so that particular thing is called the job token. It's too big a conversation to have in the stream right now, but we have patent pending for it. And but what I've been looking at the wax games that's really been missing for me is what you're talking about, where people can own land, people can then reward players for doing the things that they don't have the time or resources to do. Like, to me, that is really the evolutionary future of where all this is going, because once you kind of bridge that gap between money and time, you can kind of look at it as like these two pieces that will just continue to grow on top of each other. There's, Axie Infinity is one of the most popular things is their scholarships. Why?
Yeah.
It's because there are people who own lots of, value in Axies, thousands of dollars worth, but there are people who don't have any Axies, but they got plenty of time.
Yep.
So the scholarships bridge that. And it always astounds me that I haven't heard them take advantage of that more, but it sounds like you guys have kind of identified that there is an opportunity there.
Yeah. I mean, I think of those kind of relationships really, really carefully. I have 6 scholars that I work with in Axie as well, just because I want to be deeply understanding every aspect of this entire space, and I understand how those relationships can be better suited for everybody. So to me, the challenge with the scholar relationship is that the supply and the demand is completely upside down in every way. There's an insane amount of demand from players that want to be scholars, but a very limited supply of Axies that are actually available to be put out in this kind of economy. And the relationship that is formed from the scholar managers and these scholars is that the scholar manager is lending them like $1,500 in an uncollateralized loan, and the scholar gets to keep 60 to 70% of the earnings potential that they're able to make while they're getting this loan, which it's like, I'm going to give you $1,000 to go make 60% of the money potential, and then I get a little bit of it back, and I have to split this up with a bunch of people. And there's a ton of overhead that gets built on top of that when you're managing hundreds of scholars, or you have sub teams about these things. Like I have a friend who manages like a triple digit number of scholars already, and they have like a whole organization that they're building around this. It's a huge amount of effort. So to me, the better way to do things is to just give everyone the opportunity to work, make the accessibility to this really, really low. So for us, it's just $10 to be able to play the game, and it's a one-time cost. And from there, make it so that they can do all the work, and you make the landowners be the ones that compete for the most amount of attention. And you allow the landowners to take a smaller amount of profit loss in order to have someone else manage their land for them down the line. So that's something that we're looking to do in the future, is to basically allow you to hire someone to manage your land and maximize the profit, but at most you'd be giving up 10 to 20% of your total potential for what your land can make versus 60% to every one of your scholars. And you'd only have one person to worry to be talking to.
Interesting. I'll have to see how that works, because just the math as I'm sitting here doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I kind of like the 60% concept, but only because it's very similar to the way we do our job token is kind of designed to be. But in the end, it's the market that kind of decides the rates.
Yep.
So, but I see what the vision of the future is that, one day there's going to be these like, big companies like Amazon and Microsoft, whatever, and they're going to be like, well, okay, so we're going to invest like $1,000 into these digital game assets, whether they're like the Axie scholarships or whether they're our job tokens or your land, your land in Land Rush, and they're going to be like, well, we're going to invest all these millions of dollars into these things, and we're going to hire all these gamers to essentially use their time to monetize them, but we're expecting ROI like in 2 or 3 years or something, or more than that, better than that. I actually think that there's going to be a point in this industry where I love the title of your game, Land Rush, because to me, I see it's just going to keep trajectorying up. Like, we're going really fast in a lot of these games right now. Some of them are 10xing or something in their values and assets, and I think we're going to continue to see this crazy upward trend for a while, and then eventually we're going to get to that big place where lots of large companies are finally investing in these things because they can't afford to sit out of it anymore. And then somewhere upward towards the top, we're going to be actually seeing that like point where people can actually earn a full-time job. I mean, not just like us, the early adopters, but generally anyone will be able to earn either a part-time wage or something out of playing these games. And so this is kind of my thought on the whole thing. And obviously, I go to sleep thinking about this particular topic, and I wake up thinking about this particular topic. It is like the thing that gets me, like through the day. I'm just constantly passionate about and considering. And so I'd love to hear Sammy's thoughts on that, because sometimes I think Sammy kind of has some different theories about like what he wants to see out of play to earn.
I just want people in developing countries to have a chance.
Yes.
Like, it's just that's what it's all about. Like, I always want it to be low cost, because even low cost for us is not low cost for someone in a developing country. I think that I don't want to make it a political thing, but I feel like governments in a lot of countries do a bad job of looking after people. So, we've got a hobby that we all enjoy, and there are people here that have very comfortable lives, and it seems to actually trickle down more. They always talk about trickle down economics. It seems to trickle down more in NFT space because people are having fun. They don't mind. People might not pay the taxes in real life, but they get involved in this NFT space, and that creates an economy, and people can start earning. So I just think it's fantastic. I think that whatever gives people instant access to earning, if you are in a tight spot, like the Alien Worlds example was, people needed money for medication.
Yep.
Medication's expensive in their country. They were literally mining for a week and buying their mom's medication. That sort of stuff is unbelievable. And the landowners, who are very comfortable people in their lives, they get benefit out of it because they were mining on their land. They offered some sort of benefit. So it's incredible, really. It's just the main thing is that apart from Axie, what games manage to sustain? And for me, it's about sustainable. So people are like making decisions and going, oh, right, our planet's making a lot of money right now. So I don't have much money, but what I do have, I'm going to put into our planet's making money. Then it disappears also quickly. So I feel like people will initially always try and jump between the next big thing and try and guess it. But if there's some games that are around for a long time that are sustainable, that people can plan, because the thing is people want to quit their jobs and play to earn games, right? But unless there's like some games that are actually stable and stable income, then you're not going to be able to do that unless you're constantly learning and flipping. Some people, that's why Axie just, people know about it. It looks fun, looks appealing to people, and it's quick to get involved and start earning. So the more games like that have these sustainable economy. I don't even know if Axie is sustainable, but it's just so damn popular that you can't argue with it. So to me, that's what it's all about, because like me, do I care that I'm making a couple of dollars a day from playing games? It's nice. Do I care? Not really. But whereas that money to someone else goes a lot further. So I would rather them just be earning. I just play because it's all riveting to me. It's all exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could not agree more. Go
yeah,
ahead.
if I could speak to the just like the economics of the thing, is that you know, I think kind of if you look at it from the top level of economics, really kind of what you're talking about is, gosh, what's the term? It's not. I don't think it's illiquidity, is it? But essentially, but there are a lot of underprivileged people in the world globally who don't have access to liquidity. Like they can't really participate in an economy in a meaningful way because they don't have access to the money. They don't have access to a job, or wealthy, family member or something. They really don't have that access. And so, this was actually a large problem that we've seen, especially during the pandemic, with a lot of people can't find jobs. And then so there's a lot of money that ends up being shored up with like someone who is wealthy. It's like, well, I got all this money and put it in the stock market, watch the stock market right up. But when that money gets put into the stock market, it potentially then is not out in the world where someone can spend it, get something in exchange for something else. And that's really healthy to get money to move hands, because that means that the economy is moving. And part of the problem that we have now with like supply chain and things is that we haven't had enough goods and services and things moving during the pandemic because a lot of people are inside. They're not, participating in the economy. So I think when, what you're speaking to, Sammy, is, from the top down levels, not only just like helping out other, underprivileged people, but on like, for me, a top down perspective on everything. It's kind of like also providing more, liquidity of money globally, so that someone who might not have been able to create an opportunity somewhere for themselves or others now has greater access to that. And I think the internet's been huge that way. And we've seen it socially. We've seen the internet be huge in like movements. So I think it was Egypt or something, where they were using the internet as a way to hold the revolution. And before then, they couldn't do that because information was so, hard to share. But once people were able to share the ideas, like, you know what, we're all thinking the same thing. Like, why is it this way? Like, it doesn't have to be this way. Let's organize. And I think, what we're kind of seeing with the NFT gaming space, economically, it's going to do the same thing. I think the next 10 years are probably going to be the craziest years in terms of economy we've ever seen, because we're moving into a more global economy. But this I'm also super passionate about and love thinking about, because I really don't know where it goes. I think if we increase automation, more robotics, I think, I think we're in for like one of the craziest 10 years that any of us could possibly imagine. And I think by making NFT games like the three of us are, I think we're really gonna be like the tip of the spear for this movement next to like robotics and AI.
I completely agree. The things you're talking about are the underpinnings of what is effectively a post-work society, like where the level of opportunity becomes so grand, in which the quality of life of people around the world can be transformed through work that is much greater in terms of like the impact on their overall lives and their health. And so much of like the low quality work and low skill work of the world is replaced by automation and robotics. I think that in tandem with this, and what people say that also automation and stuff like this is going to cause mass unemployment because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs to robots. I think it's going to create an even greater demand within the sort of global economy for people who are looking for other alternative means to play and earn game, however means they can actually make a living. And I think that play to earn games are going to very well fill a need for that locally and globally in so many different ways. There's an amazing book written by an economist in South America named Hernando de Soto called The Mystery of Capital, in which he talks about the fact that 80% of the world has no access to property rights and property ownership at all. So it's not even, it takes your point even further, that it's not only do they not have access to liquidity, but they're not even allowed to own property. They don't have any property rights. And so they have no ability to even move into a true capitalist type of society, because everyone barters and trades. No one has any ability to take a loan or create wealth or generate capital in any kind of way, because they don't actually have assets. And so to me, I see like play to earn games and blockchain and all of these things that give an actual historical record and an actual piece of digital property that people can invest in and build in over time as the fundamental underpinnings of a way for all of these people around the world to move from mercantilism, which is what it's called when you don't have these like initial financial institutions in place, and they'll actually be able to, you'll be able to take your digital property, your NFTs, you'll be able to get a loan online in crypto for, you know, and in your local currency with those assets that you have invested in and that you've put your time in as a player. And that can allow you to actually get a microloan to build a business or to take on bigger efforts in your own local communities where you are around the world. And if we create these games and these experiences and we localize them in everyone's language so they can understand it, and we teach them the important pieces of like, these are important assets, you have to protect them, you have to build and invest on them and understand their value. And when everything else falls in behind, when NFT loans and services are all a thing in a couple of years, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a revolution around the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've already seen it. Like with I bought these Gala nodes earlier this year, and it was almost what helped me create a YouTube channel, because I had a YouTube channel for the business, but then wasn't until I found Gala Games, I was looking at what they were doing. I'm like, wow, like they kind of have a different vision than I do, but there's so many similarities. And when I saw the Gala nodes, I was like, oh my gosh, like these are very much like our job token seeds. Like they function very similarly, and I was still kind of newish to like the whole node concept, but I was like, I got to buy these. I spent as much money as I could, and now they're making me ridiculous amounts of money, and probably my biggest, one success story. But I look all over the place in Axie Infinities and these other games. It's a very similar thing, like you were saying. Like it's creating this whole new opportunity for your ownership. I'm 40 years old or something, and I still wasn't able to afford property. I mean, I probably could have if I kept working my job and eventually open up, a loan or whatever, get, buy the house and paid off in like, 20, 30 years. But I was like, that's already an institutionalized system that is rigged against me. And I don't mean that in a personal way. I mean that, there's a geriatric system there that is built to reward the people that have already been there for a long time in terms of property. Like, they have the best credit, or, they've had the longest jobs with most times. So now their property's worth like way more than I could ever possibly afford. And especially living in California. And, NFT gaming for me is like where the agency gets back to us, people who cannot afford those things. I grew up, lower middle class. So I've seen what it's like for people in my family to have nice houses and things like that. And I've seen what it's like for the people, my family, to not just be like a wall of debt and be like, how do I get out of this? So I've seen that whole spectrum, and I've been very close to that whole spectrum. And I see like the NFT gaming space is the new way to design the way out, where we can get that agency for people who didn't have that agency before, no matter where you are in the world. I see people from the Philippines all the time looking at games and making profits and carving a whole new life for themselves. I kind of want to move on to a new topic, because
Sure.
There are a couple of things I wanted to kind of talk about. And here's one of my favorite ones. We can go ahead and start with Sammy first, but Sammy, when was that moment where you were like, I'm going to make a NFT game, or I'm going to make a blockchain game? Like, what was like that lightning to your forehead? You do look a little bit like Harry Potter. If you could just put like, but like, what was that moment, the aha moment, where you had the epiphany that you were going to do this, make Nova Rally?
Well, it's just when I really understood. Like, I went from a long time thinking that NFTs were just stupid, and like I was saying to my brother and my friends, like, this is just ridiculous. There's people buying and selling video clips of basketball players. This is insane. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, I'll give it a try. And then I actually started to really enjoy it. And then I was just thinking, wow, like there's so many things that become possible with NFT gaming. But I also like it because they're simpler types of games. So, like, I'm a big fan of the old like PlayStation 1 games where it's a bit rough and ready, but it's good. Those are the games that you remember. And I was just thinking like, I've had a few good ideas over time, or games that I used to play, or things that I used to enjoy, and that wouldn't this really be a nice way of doing it on the blockchain? And then someone from my community, Zika, came to me with the 3D models for the flying cars and said that, I know how to model these cars. Could we make a racing game? And I didn't initially think about a racing game, but I had this system in play of like matchmaking and automated, like a system that what do they call it? Deterministic system. And I was like, I wonder how that could be applied to racing. And then from there on, then I just thought, oh man, do you know what? And then you see racing games, and then they all look the same. There's like there are a few on the blockchain. They all look the same. They have nothing behind them, right? So I was like, oh, but you know what was great? Wacky Racers. Like it needs to have character behind it. So that was the thing is that the idea that I can take some of the ideas that I've had in the past, plus add a bit of fun to it, and make it a blockchain game. And then once you realize, and once you get the first few ideas down, then everything just starts like bursting at the seams because you suddenly have all these ideas that you could do. So that's pretty much it. It's just that it's fun designing a game, and a lot of people come to me with a lot of ideas. You know what isn't fun is making a game.
It is something you have to learn to love over a long time, and that takes a lot of just you make enough games and you eventually learn to really love the experience, because it's like learning how to smile while you're also on fire, like literally, because that's how you usually feel, is just completely on fire the whole time. And you're like, nope, got to keep a smile on, got to keep working forward. That's exactly what it feels like.
Can't tell you how many times a day, like I just stare at a wall and my brain is just like in that game design world. And if I was just watching me, you'd be like, what the hell's he doing? Like it's like, don't bother me. I'm a genius. I'm working on something. But Sammy, I'm curious. So before you had the idea for Nova Rally, were you already involved in like Alien Worlds? Because you also have a mining guild and things. So where were you in your NFT journey when you got the idea for Nova Rally, and when Zyka approached you with the artwork?
So like I had some like I had bought a Zed Run horse in like August of last year, and I was kind of like figuring out things. Like, and that sort of also triggered some ideas. But I was thinking more like I had an idea for like it was originally going to be like how you would resolve combat, and I was thinking about it like that. So it was a lot. It was a lot of ideas over a long period of time. I never actually thought I would make a game. I just thought it'd be interesting. And then when I actually saw the models, because that was the main thing, I was like, you need something to grab people. And then when I saw the cars, I was like, these are cool. They look a bit different to what's on Wax. And he said, do you think we can make a game out of this? And I said, when he asked me before, I said, no, I don't want to take that on. Because to be honest, I'm not a game developer. I don't have any experience before. But eventually I thought to myself, I was a bit unhappy with some of the other games that I was playing. And I thought, do you know what? At least if I make my own game, I can trust myself and I can do it my way. So even if it's not the best game, I've done it my way. So that kind of it was a combination of that. Everyone thinks that they can do it better. Right, and it's just a little chance to say, well, actually, can I do it better? Mm-hmm. And that it's a big it's a fun challenge. But yeah, like some days you just think to yourself, like, do you know what? I could just be buying NFTs like the rest of the people on Wax and just slagging off other project owners and not having any stress in my life. But instead, I choose to do the hard option. And like, I don't do it for the money, because if I wanted to make more money, I put more effort into my current job, like it would probably go a lot further.
You're still working
that
other
the
job?
challenge. You do it for the challenge.
You're still as a contractor, right? You're still working that job, like?
Oh yeah, I work full time.
What, you crazy person? Like,
no,
this guy streams almost every day.
When you spend so much time growing a career, you need to, especially one that you enjoy, you need to look after that. So I always said, if it gets to the point where I feel like I could take Nova Rally to the next level by not being in a job and solely focused on it. But at the end of the day, I don't code anything. So I just I just write it down. Like I design concepts, I do testing, I coordinate. The main thing is you just coordinate. Coordination is awful. Like everyone, like you got to group everyone together, and
Yep.
like all of these strange things happen. I feel like I'm playing like one of these like randomly generated adventures.
Like a
Really?
roguelike?
It's
Yeah.
like you wake up and your house is on fire. Like
Mhm.
the stuff that happens on a daily basis when you deal with people.
Yep.
Like
Oh yeah.
and you're just like, you're like, wait, what? Like, am I on like some sort of like weird show?
Are you
Like, you
being
just wouldn't
pranked?
believe so we've had some delays, and the delays are caused by like the strangest things that occur, and you just think, well, like this is just real life. That's the thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
You're
our
dealing with human beings, like.
Yeah. That's what
So-
Mike Tyson said. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And
Yeah,
making games
exactly.
is no different. You can be as well versed and experienced and planned as you can be, and you can still make a mistake. You can still get have an unexpected hook in the face and just still have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. I mean that's why I try. I have like you ever seen Scrubs, the TV show Scrubs?
Of course.
Like the brain trust.
Yep.
The brain trust. It's like a table with different type of people you sit down with.
Yep.
And they'll tell you stuff. And I use the brain trust idea for Nova. I've got a few selected people that I rely on because you
got to filter. You have to filter through
but
the
also
noise.
my brain. Like I can't look at something after a while and know if it's good or not. Like you just have to think that it just gets too much because you think, right, if I do this, then this might happen, then this might happen, then this might happen. The possibilities are endless, and you can't spot everything. So I think the important thing is having a core group of people that you trust, like that you'll take your advice very seriously. That's what I would say, is that create that brain trust around you. That helps me a lot because I can't deal with all of it myself.
Yeah, and last things for your creative process. I don't know why I care about this, but I keep thinking like, where were you when you when you created Nova Rally? Were you already playing like Alien Worlds and things? Did that come before and after? I guess I'm just trying to get a timeline for the Sammy Snake epiphany. Like, did you?
I mean, I had like a big Notion. I use Notion and tracked on all my notes and things, and I had like a Notion file that I've been building up since August of last year's, and then when I actually decided that it was going to be a racing game, that gets converted into the design. And to be honest, the main some of the best concepts for Nova Rally were actually done in one night. Like I remember I did all of the characters in one night because I couldn't sleep. And it's just like I'm very much like that in terms of if I'm in the zone, I'm unstoppable. But so when those moments happen, you need to like sit down and go, right, I'm going to get as much out of this as you can. Because when it comes to ideas, you don't know when they're going to come, and that's why I try and go for walks every day. So your best ideas come to you when you don't expect them, and that's what it's about. And you can't force these things. So it's what you want to just keep lots of notes because you just forget stuff, and then when you're in the zone, you've just got to know it and right. Boom, boom, boom. Get as much, do like these big brain dumps, and then you can come back later and you can mold something out of it.
So it sounds like you were working on Nova Rally almost a year ago as far as ideas, and you're writing these things down. And I guess at some point you got involved with these other NFT games. So I'm just kind of surprised that you had thought of it a long time ago, and you were just kind of getting the ideas, maybe the team together between that point, you said August of last year, and when you guys released, when you're releasing the game now.
Yeah, so it was a learning experience for me, like because I didn't know what it would take to do a project on Wax, and obviously, like I mean, I only actually started on Wax in February, and there's not a long time to really learn about all the nuances. So that's you have to rely a lot on the developers. But I picked up a lot of things very quickly, and now if a new project comes to me, I'm able to tell them so many different things that they need to consider, and I can show them things on the test net, and they're like, "Oh my god, how do you know all this thing?" And it's just trial and error, and you get it down. Like, so I'm pretty sure there's not much I don't know on wax nowadays and what is possible, what's not. But at the time, you know, it was a big learning curve, because it went from originally this was a game designed for my community of people, right?
Mhm.
And then a few days before the sale, it went up like a rocket. And then I had to sit down and think, well, actually, there's one or two things that I've designed here that aren't fit for a game on that scale. So you have to adapt and adjust. So that for me was a very strange thing, when suddenly I was like, oh, bloody hell! Like every day I wake up in the whitelist, there's 1,000 more people. And I mean, also, okay, some of them were bots that you just ended up removing, but it all of a sudden it was very small, and no one, like, it was very small, no one really cared. And I kind of liked it that way. It gave me some time. But then all of a sudden, when the spotlight gets shone on it, that's when the cracks start to appear, and you think, I've not thought about this, not thought about that. Plus, you've got the pressure now of expectation, whereas before you don't. So I feel envious of some projects that really haven't picked up too much fanfare.
You're talking to the two right guys right now. Like, we have a drop coming next week. We're looking to sell out of the rest of our cards, and I'm like that. Like, I'm already starting to watch more people come to our Discord. I'm like, oh no! Like, we have this perfect little sanctuary where we get to hang out and chat about wax games, and now here come the rest of the world, and that's okay because we're open to it. And but still, it's just like, wow! It's kind of like having that Garden of Eden. And then, open the doors where everybody can come in. It's kind of like, well, it was nice while it lasted. But
I was back in your Discord back in April talking about wax games, talking about Alien Worlds, like, as one of the like early people that were like really pushing on the scene. It's been really exciting to see how much,
you're
like,
talking about Sammy's Discord or my Discord?
Your Discord,
my
the
Discord,
Blockchain
right.
Kingdoms Discord. Absolutely, yeah. I've definitely been around for a long time, and it's been exciting to see like your community grow and build throughout, all the efforts that you've been working on.
Thank you. And so I feel like Sammy is like me on a future timeline. It's kind of like I'll get there, but I'm open to it. When I first built this company and these cards and things, I was like, well, this is what I'm dedicating my life to, because I've decided that this is the thing. I used to work in movies, and so I actually quit my job. So I don't know how Sammy does it. I don't know how he works a full-time job, streams every day, and makes Nova Rally at the same time. I mean, I don't know how you do it. So we're about 51 minutes so far, and I want to make sure I get this last question into. I want to be able to cover this question with you real quick. Mitch, the same one, and then another question after that, which is one I had from my community member. But so, Mitch, what was your aha moment where you've already been working in games? You used to work at Zynga and the mobile game space, and but what was like the aha moment where you were like, oh, I'm gonna make a blockchain game, and maybe like this specific blockchain game? Like, what was that like bolt of lightning moment for you?
Yeah. So for a while I had been sort of I've been a professional game designer for over like 12 years now, largely in like social games, free to play. So like you said, I was at Zynga. I moved largely into the mobile side. I did a lot of idle games as well, and I had really ignored NFTs, crypto, for pretty much the entire time until only towards the beginning of this year. And I started to just explore it because there is enough games getting enough traction. Enough people were talking about Axia. It's like, okay, I should probably at least look at this to understand it. And I tried almost as many things as I possibly could that didn't require me to spend money. Like, my first sort of like litmus test was, can I play and earn? Is this a real thing that exists without ever having to spend a single amount of money? Can I like prove out the validity of this? And I did try Alien Worlds. I didn't really think it was a thing at first. Like, a lot of things I explored, it didn't click with me. And then I tried Lost Relics. And on the first night of playing, I got a blockchain item, and my mind just the switch just flipped in my head. And I was like, oh, like, I get it. And I look at my wallet and I can like see the value of things. I'm like, oh, I get this now. This is crazy. And it was like, it really sort of like flipped a switch. And then I played Lost Relics like every night religiously for weeks. Like I became obsessed with it and joined as deep as I could into these communities. And it really just, for me, this aha moment is the flipping of the switch of people that move into play to earn that don't want to go back to play traditional games. Once I understood this mindset and the way that people think about it from a player's perspective. And then I met so many people in the scene that invest in all of these different games, these ecosystems. I found out about Wax. I really got deep into everything in the Wax environment and bought land in Alien Worlds and Our Planet and Dark Country and like everything. Like I jumped into every single thing. I've been.
Were you there for Nova Rally? Because he was talking about Nova Rally rocketing. And
I wish that I had the time for it, but literally when Nova Rally was taking off, I had basically started transitioning into moving into play to earn games. I had already started designing it, already started talking with a team, and sort of planned my exit out of traditional game development into the play to earn space. So, and then I took things, once I sort of really went down the rabbit hole and understood the real economic opportunity, the way in which things are the way in which play to earn games are really thriving and growing because of the players around the world and all the things that like Sammy and you have both been talking about, like then it's really opened my eyes. I'm like, okay, I got to think way bigger about the vision here. I need to think about how I can bring something to as many people as possible and have a positive impact on as many people's lives as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it sounds like you kind of had the epiphany I had, like the impact that you could have in this space, creating a blockchain game. And sounds like that aha moment you had was the one where you were playing Lost Relics, and then suddenly it's like, oh, here you go. Here's property. Like you were playing this game, and now you have property that is yours, and you can do what you want with it.
Yep.
Yeah, like I mean, I was kind of I didn't have that same aha moment, but I mean, it's a thing, you know, where you start to play these games, you're like, oh, like I have agency over my items now, and I think it probably takes time for some people to realize the implication of that. It probably takes someone sitting on a digital item for a year, and later they look back and it's worth like 100 times what it was before then or something, and they're like, whoa, like what happened right there? Like, wait a minute, I got to look into this more, because same thing happens in crypto, right? Like there are people who bought Bitcoin way back when, and then I think there was one woman, I heard a story where she was given some Bitcoin as a reward for doing some kind of art project, and that was worth like $30,000 one day, and she just woke up to it. She was just like, wait, what happened? And she was like, I think people have like these moments where these epiphanies of like what it means to be able to have digital property that other people want, and that you can be given it just by playing these games. What was the moment where you knew that Million on Mars Land Rush was gonna be your game?
So basically earlier this year, I had been starting to spend a lot of time in Clubhouse when it was going really, really viral in sort of the early spring and late winter of the year. Started talking about NFTs and blockchain stuff and really starting to get to know people, and eventually ended up reconnecting with an old colleague of mine who I knew back from when I worked at Zynga. So he's actually the CTO of our company and the co-founder. And he had been working on the Steam game for Million on Mars for about the last year. They had been really excited about NFTs and play to earn and what the potential of those things can bring. But because of all the way policies are written on Steam, they didn't really want to disrupt what they had been building on. And they really wanted to build a complete proper crafting MMO on Steam. And so where the opportunity came is me and Eric reconnecting and hit them reaching out, being like, let's build an NFT play to earn type game. And so I was able to join them, conceptualize something from the ground up that integrates within their world, within the story and the narrative of everything they're building, but fully embrace the notions of play to earn, of land and property ownership, and really kind of create something authentic that meets the demands of what I think the Wax ecosystem offers.
So it sounds like that you already knew you wanted to make an NFT game, and then you had that conversation with you didn't say his name, but it was Eric, right? Not Shiremeyer, but another Eric,
a different Eric. Although it's funny because all three of us used to work at Zynga at the exact same time. This is all in 2009. Eric Shiremeyer was in the same office as us. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think you guys were in the right industry, the mobile game, to make a transition here into play to earn game. Just playing Million on Mars Land Rush really feels kind of like playing one of those games with very familiar game loop. like,
Yeah.
oh, I build a thing, I earn a thing, I build another thing, I earn another thing. So it'll be exciting to see how you guys continue to build that out. Well, thanks for for sharing that journey. We're almost at the 58-minute mark, so I just want to bring up one question that was from a community member of ours. I hope I get this right. I think it was Jay Lazan. I think this was his question. And so he was asking, I'm just going to kind of go, I think I'd written down somewhere, but basically he was asking, is there a way for us to, is there a way for developers like us to do these games without getting into the Ponzi economics? Because he was looking at it, and his thought was that we see a lot of Ponzi like economics in the games. Our Planet, you could build. You could create these elements, and then once you created the elements, it then empowered you to create more elements. And then once you started to do that, it kind of had a snowball effect where now you had a lot of economic power because you've been building early, and everyone who came in later had to start small. And I think when I was looking at Farmer's World, it was kind of the same thing. I first looked at Farmer's World and I was like, oh, so if you have a chainsaw, you have a very high multiple. I keep saying it was 30 times multiple. I don't think it was that high, but it was like a very high multiple of economic power if you had a chainsaw. If you did not, well, then it just decreased quite a bit by multiples. And
Right.
And so, I mean, that game's huge now, and I'm looking out their farmer thing, and I'm like, oh, this game's actually starting to seem pretty interesting to me now, just because I think I kind of start to see like their bigger vision for it. But yeah, what do you think? Well, we start with Sammy, because I think Mitch and I've been talking for a little while.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Sammy? Like, is there a way for us to grow our games without? I know your game actually is one of the least Ponzi-nomic games that I know of. We'll have to see once the sketch cards and the manuals go up live, because I think manuals and sketch cards are kind of designed to be like a very desirable strategy. But what are your thoughts on that? Is there a way for us to do these games without designing in Ponzi economics?
I think for sure. I think the reason why you see it like it is because it's the lowest common denominator. It's the easiest thing to think of, right? Do you know what's funny? There's a lot of games on Wax and a lot of games on blockchain, right? But I think Mitch is like one of the first game designers I've met with any experience. Like,
very few, yeah.
You don't actually see. So I think the reason why it's like that
Yep.
is because people just don't have enough experience or knowledge to do it any other way. I think so. It's up to the new projects to challenge and say, right, we can go for this, but there's a risk that it could die out. And once it goes, I don't think it's coming back. But there's the opportunity to do it in a more difficult way, a more challenging way. I mean, I know I could, it would be very popular if I'd just had not many assets in my game and charged people a lot of money to play them. It would have just gone the same way, but I don't know if it's sustainable. So I think it's just a challenge. Like I said, I think that there's a lack of imagination when it comes to it. People just pick the safest option. And for me, for Nova Rally, I don't care so much about it. I'm going to take a little bit longer and try different things and see if one works, because I feel like it's better and more sustainable if you hit that.
Better, more sustainable if you just hit the fun gameplay, or
yeah. I mean, the reason why do you want people to play, like, to come and play your game? For me, I want people to play the game because it's fun, right? I know it's play to earn, but it's too far for me in the earn and not enough in the play. Because what are you playing? You're not playing. You're not even thinking. You're not clicking. I want to give people more agency in Nova Rally, but even right now, like, all you really do is you log on and you click and you race, and it's like, even I'm like, man, I want to do so much more, but you got to start somewhere. But
Yep.
the reason why it's like that is because it's difficult, and people will always choose the easiest option to get it off of the ground. Now, if like Farmer's World pivots with the popularity they have and do all sorts of cool stuff, then credit to them. But the one that I like the most is Splinterlands, because everyone said that Splinterlands was shit, for months. Everyone said that no one wanted to play it.
Yep.
And for months, it did nothing and nothing and nothing.
And they had 1.5 million plots of land sitting at $10 to $20 that no one ever wanted to buy.
You couldn't give them away.
I passed on it completely. I completely dismissed Splinterlands. It was a biggest miss of the last like 6 months, without question. That I was completely blindsided. I should have paid way more attention, but I couldn't get into their core gameplay because to what you said, like I couldn't find that fun. There was a lot of friction early on in how getting into Splinterlands felt as a new player, and that was a friction point for me that impacted my ability to want to read the white paper and go deep and invest in it.
Yeah, but I feel like then they made some improvements over a longer period of time and kept building on it. And then all of a sudden it picked up traction again, and now look at it. So like I feel like that the reward is much more worth it when you do it that way. The problem is it's just difficult, and I don't know if I'm doing it the right way. The only way you try. So I think that the every project that then comes later has that little bit of an advantage because they get to see all the people that died before them. Like, so
all the mistakes that were made, they get to learn, if they're paying close enough attention.
But the thing is you'll get long-term players if you go for a fun and sustainable earning. You'll get lots of short-term players when you go for another model. And you can do both. You can definitely do both because you can get the short term and then pivot and capitalize, which some people might find smart to do because then it's always seeming positive. There's not like it goes up in value and then it massively crashes and everyone hates you. Mm-hmm. Or you can try and do things differently, but it takes time. So I definitely understand why people do it, but I would like to see more variation and not just like we're just we're just miners, aren't we? In every game, we are just mining in some shape.
In some ways, I think the key is really the accumulation. I think, human beings kind of have a desire to accumulate, and the NFT gaming, like that really hits the spot. Oh, stake more, earn more, more racing, collect more shards, build more, cars and build more drivers. Like, we're really addicted to the accumulation of things. And I really do like Nova Rally, and I think it does kind of hit a sweet spot. And I think, as you scale up, we can see all kinds of potential things. And I don't know what your final vision is for Nova Rally, or, if you're going to try to build your own platform or something. You sound like you kind of just want to play, fun NFT games and not try to, build on too many games. But I don't know, you also seem like you probably can't stop yourself from chasing a good idea.
Well, the thing is I still want to be the number one blockchain game ever. Like, I'm very driven, but it needs to be fun along the way. If I do it like Farmer's World, where it's just click and mine, and in my opinion, there's not too much imagination behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like to do things my way, and that's where I go. It's probably the one time I'll ever make a game. I don't think after this I would make a different game. Nova Rally is my baby. I'll stick with it till the bitter end now. I don't think I'll make it. This is my one chance to do it my way. And that's the thing. Like, that's what you got to remember, is that I build the game to make a fun experience. That's the most important thing. And that I believe if you build it, they will come. If it's a fun game, people will play and they'll stick there. If you build it around, right, how can we make people money? I just don't see how it's sustainable. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. To be honest, none of the stuff we're really saying holds much merit because it's not been around long enough. We just don't know.
Yeah.
The only experiences we have are with like Alien Worlds, Our Planet, and Axie Infinity. Apart from that, there's not too many frames of reference. So in a way, a lot of us we're paving the way for future projects. The mistakes that we make now are going to improve the ecosystem. So I'm just gonna every time I make a mistake now, I'm just gonna say you're welcome, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're laying down the tracks while we're driving the train at the exact same time. We're literally like an old style like Hanna-Barbera, like the Wacky Racers cartoons. It's like literally like trying to do it in front of you in the real time. Yeah,
NFT game. There you go.
What it feels like, definitely. While you're on fire, of course.
Yeah,
still,
build the train while you're on fire.
While the engine's on fire.
Yeah, be like, wacky locomotives or something like that.
Exactly.
But it sounds like you're pretty much in agreement with Sammy there. Is there anything particular that you guys are trying to do differently in terms of, escaping Ponzi economics or trying to achieve both, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything Sammy says for the most part. Like, I do agree that you want to build a sustainable, fun experience first more than anything else. I think there are questions that you can ask in terms of like the design and the structure of a game to sort of get a better understanding of its potential or how its economy will change over time. So you can ask questions like, how is value created, which is like how do new things get made inside of the game that allow new people to come into the game, or how much does it cost, or what is the growth potential for the game, which is how many people in maximum could actually play the game based on the minimum requirements to get in. And like, what does that cost at scale? If it's 10x more people trying to get in the door, does that reduce the friction to get in? Does it make the prices go up more because it's constrained resources? Or does it just allow, can the game just keep funneling in new people? And how does that impact the game? I think the other questions you can ask is, what are their professional credits? How much experience do they have making games? Not every team has professional experience, like we know, but there are plenty of people who have backgrounds making tabletop games or have lots of other understandings about the way games are built that can put that bits of knowledge forth in terms of who they are and to give themselves more credit in the market. And I think in terms of like how we plan to do things, I think the most fundamental thing is that we are really determined to make sure that it's humans that are playing our game. We don't want bots. We hate bots, and we put a sort of a $10 barrier in front of our players, in front of the access, to really ensure that you can't just mass create accounts and get into our game. And we intend to go much further down the line in incentivizing or rewarding people who are willing to prove that they're actually human that are playing our games, and make that experience worthwhile more than even players that are they want to remain anonymous.
Wow. Like, I think it's, you can provide a credible amount of value just with like your game design experience, and I think Sammy already has with his passion and for his love for just creating a fun game for all of us to play, and that he's focusing on one too. This is huge. I think we have many different products, and we're about to announce a new one here pretty soon, but it's a very small one. But I kind of want to give my 2 cents on the whole Ponzi economic thing. Is that I feel like the world's big enough that you can have both. I mean. If you look at almost anything economically, there's some form of like the Ponzi concept, everything from, real estate to stocks. It's like whoever, it took a while. I was involved in stocks for a while, for almost a year, and I was learning everything about it. And then eventually I was like, okay, so if I want to do really well at stocks, all I have to do is not only accumulate in the short term, but long term. But if I want to do short term trading, well, then I have to master how puts work and how puts and calls work. Because basically you call out whether stock's going to do well or bad, and then you place a bet. You kind of earn a higher multiple based on whether or not you're right or wrong. I was like, oh, okay. So there was this one company, it's called Sensionics, where they're building like some kind of like diabetes thing, and they have the right technology. They're going to get they're most likely going to get their FDA approval. They're already approved like in the United Kingdom. I was like, oh, I got to buy this. It's cheap, but there's so much fear in the market at the time that like this thing got what's called shorted heavily, which basically means that the institutions were all basically deciding that the stock was going to do poorly, buying it from people who already had shares and then underselling it to people who were willing to buy it for cheaper. And when I learned how that worked, I was like, oh my God, like this is worse than a Ponzi economic. It's like literally price manipulation of a stock, but it's legal. And that was one of the things that I pulled, like when I finally got that idea and I was like, okay, like I could do that. I could learn how all this works, but if I did do that, then I would be the guy shorting the freaking diabetes, the company that's trying to help the diabetics. And I was like, what? I am not that guy. I'm not the guy who's going to be like, oh, well, this company is going down because, there's a lot of fear in the market. They want to do a good thing. It's been on a bull run. So now it's time to short it. I'm like, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to, put the diabetic company, the company's trying to help diabetics, at a disadvantage. Like, I was just like, that's rotten. Like, I'm not going to participate in this. So I pulled all my money out of the stock market and I put it into, crypto and NFTs. And I was like, this is so much better. So I'm passionate in it. I believe it. I believe in it. But I feel like, you kind of see, this almost in any industry. Someone's trying to make a buck somewhere, and the people who have a lot of money, one of the funny things, if you look in the market right now, a lot of, you see a lot of money being put by institutions into Axie Infinities, Gala Games, TLM. And the funny thing is that it's really the gamers who are winning a lot of these because they got in early, and it's the institutions that end up paying later when the gamers sell at an all-time high. And the institutions are like, well, we got in for the long run, but all the gamers are like, well, price got really high, so we're going to take some profit now. So now we're winners. But in the end, I feel like it's all is fair in love and war. And what I'm trying to communicate is that, I think for people like us, my goal is to have both. My goal is to have the growth, I don't think our games have Ponzi economics, but definitely if you hold our rare assets, you're going to have something of an advantage. And that's kind of designed by points. Almost all these games are like that, no matter what you do. The sketch cards, there's an advantage there as long as you have a strategy applied. And I feel like that's fair. But there's one thing I want to leave everybody with. It is my belief that what's most important when it comes to these games is sometimes not even the tokenomics in the long run. In the long run, what's going to matter is like the consistency that Sammy spoke to. The developers there, they're working hard, they're passionate about it, they're dedicated to it. The other thing is like promoting and advertising, because if you have a game that is really great, but no one's talking about it, you're not really going to see a lot of market growth. So my plan is to have it all, is to have incentives, to have rare items, to have great gameplay, to grow the company. We are a startup company, which means every day I wake up and I'm like, how do I get from where I am right now to like a company that's like 3 times this size in a couple of months? Like, how do I do that again and again? And I keep compounding my growth, because that's where my passion is building a company that provides the largest amount of value to as many people as possible. So I do believe we can have both. And if you look at Tesla, the Tesla value started, if you look at startups, the way they work, you put in just like a little bit amount of money in the beginning, and then eventually it goes public. It's it's on the stock exchange, and by then it's like it could be like thousands percentage multiples. Like you'd be up in the thousands. And anybody who invested in Tesla before it even had like $5 million invested in it, which he probably had more money than that back then, but anybody who was invested in Tesla when it had its first valuation is now riding around in those yachts and things with Elon Musk at parties. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think wherever there's market growth, you're going to have people who are in early, and then they ride the wave of the hard work that's put in, and the promoting and the marketing, all that stuff's put in. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think probably one thing people want to do is just follow the projects you believe in, know why you're in it. If you're in it for the quick profit, I like to speculate myself, but if you're in it for the short flash, behave accordingly. If you like games like Nova Rally, be like me. In 2 hours, I'm going to be racing. I'm gonna be in there, accumulating my, my stack of wins on my characters. I just bought like 4 intermediate characters for like 17 to 18 USD on the market. Thank you, whoever sold those to me.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, what? And they were Aviva and an MTV. Yes, that was me. If you're watching, that was who bought your Viva and MTVs. I bought 4 cards altogether. They're all Vivas, and I'm like, I'm a hop and a skip away from then being able to to turn those guys into the next league. Is it Master League and then Veteran?
Yeah. So it goes veteran, and veteran, it's a huge jump in the amount that you
Okay.
earn per race. So whoever sold them is questionable decision making at best.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I can afford the 17, 18
But then
bucks
that's the
here.
beauty
Save
about
me all
it.
the
Like,
time into it.
you can make money from your understanding of how a game works. So right there, you spotted a go, hey, I know why that's actually undervalued because of I have better understanding of the mechanics. So I actually like the fact that with play to earn games, you get rewarded for reading. Like reading the white paper literally makes you
so
money.
True.
Like
yeah.
we did loads of spreadsheets on Alien Worlds on what's the most efficient setups for our community. Literally, that's the fun part, is getting really geeky about it and making it. That's one thing I love, is the ability to spot something on the market, like, and know right there and then that's cheap there, and just buy it, and you take advantage of someone else's poor understanding of a game, and you make money off of it. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I really rode that wave of Nova Rally, like when the packs got released, and I read the white paper, and I was like, I should buy more of these. I should buy as many of these as I can. That's what I did. Like, when my wax count all the way down to 0 after the packs were released, I was like, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, I'll buy that, I'll buy that. As much as I could buy Nova Rally, I did. So I was feeling pretty good when other people kind of caught on to Nova Rally. Well, we've been running for almost an hour and 20 minutes here. I'd love to do this again sometime soon. I really love chatting with you guys, and I love, what you guys are doing for this space. I mean, the community makes it, you guys make it. Sometimes I'm jumping into Sammy's stream to get the lowdowns on Nova Rally. I'm Rotru, by the way. Robert Trusardi Rotru is my Twitch thing over in your chat. But yeah, sometimes I come in and give my 2 cents and kind of ask stuff. But yeah, I'd love to do this with you guys again sometime soon. Any final words before we get out of here? I should say that, million on Mars.io, right? And Metasourcecards.com is for Metasource cards. We have a drop coming next week, and Mitch has founders tokens, which will no longer be available after, was it October
15th?
October 15th.
Like a little over 2 weeks left. Yeah.
To get those, there are some permanent or semi-permanent rewards and airdrops and things for those packs. So definitely go check that out. And Nova Rally is novarally.io.
Yep, or play.novarally.io.
Yeah, and that gets you right into the game, play.novarally.io. Yeah, so any last words before we end the stream? And thank everybody for joining us.
Feel free to reach out to us on Discord. Come check out the game. If you want an access badge, you want to see the game, come say hi on Discord. We'll mint out a badge for you. So anyone that wants to check it out. Founders token badges, our Founders token sale is on sale, like you said. And we're also doing a Refer a Founder program. So, you guys should both, sign up for our Refer a Founder program. Make sure people use your codes so that your communities can support you. You get wax back, and you're able to give that, you can pay that forward to your community in any kind of way.
Awesome. Sammy, any last words?
No, I just really enjoyed this conversation. It makes me more excited to wake up tomorrow and do more things. Like, it just makes me more excited to get back to work. So these conversations are good. So also, I'll be checking out Million on Mars and Metasource cards over the next few weeks. So keep me updated with anything. I get very busy. So if you want me anything to show to my viewers on stream, or anything new stuff that you've put out, then just send me a message, because I get wrapped up in stuff, but I always like to show new things. And just thanks to everyone for watching, as always, and take care.
Yeah, we're about to give away, we're giving away about $10,000 worth of our cards as promotions for our launch next week. So if you want, I could give you a couple of those, and you can distribute those in a giveaway or something on stream or something with your viewers. All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Let me go tell the chat here. Thank you for joining us. That's how you say that. So they know, because I think that the stream sometimes lagged by a couple of moments, gives them a chance to say goodbye. And let's do this again sometime. I really enjoyed this, guys. Thank you so much.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
All right. Have a good day, Sammy, Mitch.
Take it easy.
See ya.